Right now at 9, Hope City Church in Joplin gives back to the Joplin Police Department. We'll tell you how.
On the heels of rain, chances to start the weekend now. We certainly dried out a bit for today. The main story for tomorrow, high pressure keeping us quiet but cool, but does that set the tone for the rest of the week, including the Christmas holiday? We'll start breaking down your forecast with first weather coming up.
The Pitt State women put their 3-game win streak on the line today against Central Missouri. Highlights and post-game reaction in sports.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Chris Warner. Every year, Hope City Church in Joplin gives back to the community the Sunday before Christmas. Each year, they pick a different group to support, and this year, they picked the Joplin Police Department. Hundreds of people packed into the Hope City Church on the southeast side of Joplin, but not for a traditional church service. Instead, they were in service to the community.
Our goal for Local Impact Sunday has been to really bless our community in whatever way we can, and so we find a need like our officers who have been going hard and have been a little bit weary, and say, man, how can we encourage them this Christmas season? How can we bless them?
Church members got together at tables scattered throughout the lobby. There, they found a paper with instructions on it explaining what they needed to do to help. Lead Pastor Cody Walker says they put some good thought and reflection into picking the Joplin Police Department.
This year we just started thinking, man, how could we bless someone in our community or a group of people in our community that is weary this year? And so we wanted to be able to step into that and encourage and bless them, specifically because of the work and really the hard year to 24 months it's been for them.
The groups had cards to fill out, one for every officer on the force. There were coloring sheets for the kids to color for the officers, and if there weren't any kids, the adults got to help out too. For Chief Sloan Rowland, it means a lot.
One thing you'll see in this area is the community is very supportive of their law enforcement officers and first responders as a whole. So I think it's critical when this happens that the officers get to see that. They get to see the community support at the grassroots level.
Back to the groups for a moment. When they were done making and creating at the tables, they then went to a cage and picked up a tactical backpack. That was filled with gift cards to local businesses, a water bottle, electrolytes in the form of Gatorade, and some other goodies to brighten their day. Here's Chief Sloan Rowland again on how helpful this is for the officers.
Nationwide, there's some definite challenges. We face those recruiting retention challenges. It makes it a lot easier to recruit and retain officers in a community where they know they're supported, so I think it's huge.
Those tactical backpacks are filled with the work of 1,500 people for 97 officers, packed with extra love from the community.
You know, I'm blessed daily to represent 163 people, men and women, that go out every day with our jail, our dispatch, and our police officers to do a critical job in the community, and it gives me a very good feeling knowing that they're supported every time they go out and do that job.
The Hope City Church held 2 packing sessions to ensure all of the officers on their list would be served. And it was definitely a good day to be indoors. It was still another chilly start out there, Nick Kelly.
I know, because of the stubborn cloud cover this morning, Chris, took a little more persuading, let's say, to clear out. But eventually we did see the sunshine, but a little late to do anything in terms of temperatures. It was still another cold one with a high of 39 at Joplin Regional after we started at 28 degrees this morning. So we did not drop off very much last night into this morning because of the cloud cover, but now that stubborn cloud cover, it's gone. So we're finally mostly clear as we begin the late night hours out, and not much to show across the entire 4-state region. High pressure sliding off to the east, but even though that's keeping us mostly clear and temperatures in the upper 20s already, that southerly breeze, even though it's light, is going to do the trick to keep temperatures pretty much where they are, maybe back down a few more degrees. I think we'll drop back to about 27 degrees first thing in the morning, but with plenty of sunshine for tomorrow, certainly compared to the past few days, we are going to see highs back near 50 for tomorrow. Chris will break down the rest of the week and see if this is a warming trend that will continue for Christmas coming up in a bit.
All right, Nick, thank you. Police in Minnesota are investigating what caused the death of 7 people in a South Moorhead home on Saturday. Investigators say family members returned to their house Saturday night and found 4 adults and 3 children dead. They then called 911. Police say there are no signs of violence or forced entry and there is no known threat to the public. The Ramsey County Medical Examiner's Office is conducting autopsies to determine the cause of death and to confirm identities. Moorhead Area School District is working on providing student counseling assistance to classmates of the victims. Former Republican Georgia Senator Johnny Isakson has died. Georgia Governor Brian Kemp made the announcement Sunday shortly after his death. Kemp said Isakson was one of Georgia's greatest statesmen. Kemp also said he was dedicated to making his state and country better than he found it. Isakson was re-elected to a third term in 2016, but he resigned at the end of 2019 because of worsening health from Parkinson's disease. He was known as one of the dwindling number of bipartisan deal makers on Capitol Hill. Isakson died just days ahead of his 77th birthday. Rapper Drakeo the Ruler was stabbed to death at a California music festival. Authorities in Los Angeles say the 28-year-old was stabbed backstage during an altercation at the Once Upon a Time in LA festival Saturday night. Dozens of artists were scheduled to perform on the concert's 3 stages, including Al Green, Snoop Dogg, and 50 Cent. The incident prompted a massive police response, fire marshals to shut down the festival as well. Officers from the LAPD and California Highway Patrol, some equipped with riot gear, kept a watchful eye on audience members as they evacuated the area. No arrests in connection with the stabbing were announced. Last week's tornado outbreak affecting 5 different states, with Kentucky hit the hardest. Today, cleanup there continues. Fox News correspondent Charles Watson has more from Mayfield.
And while we are hurting, and while we are knocked down, we are not broken, and we do not break.
Recovery efforts continuing in Kentucky just over a week after devastating tornadoes swept through the state. Governor Andy Beshear saying that all those reported missing following the deadliest tornado outbreak in the state's history have been accounted for, with nearly 80 confirmed dead. Thousands of others have been left displaced after entire communities were left destroyed. The governor visiting 2 state parks Sunday that are providing free emergency shelter, handing out shoes to thousands who have lost everything. Beshear saying he's committed to helping these communities rebuild.
We won't just be here this week and this month, but we will be with you every single day for however many years it takes to rebuild every building, every life, and get everyone as close as we can to as if this didn't happen.
These storms could become the costliest tornado outbreak in U.S. history. Across the state, 14 counties are now eligible for aid from FEMA. President Biden has promised to cover 100% of recovery costs in the first 30 days. Meanwhile, Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell says he's working to secure funding for the entirety of the recovery period in his home state.
We'll be there. We're going to try to stay on this all the way to the end, try to find pools of money that are available to help rebuild.
So far, the Team Western Kentucky Relief Fund has brought in almost $20 million in donations. In Mayfield, Kentucky, Charles Watson, KOAM News.
And we take this time now to honor one of our many 4-state heroes. Tech Sergeant John Rogers served in the Army with the 88th Ordnance Bomb Disposal Squadron during World War II. There, he earned a Bronze Star, a Silver Star, and a Purple Heart. His hometown, Pittsburgh. And we're proud to recognize Tech Sergeant John Rogers, tonight's 4-state hero. Later on the news at 9, despite the rise in new COVID-19 cases, air travelers do not appear to be scaling back their holiday plans.
Well, the cloud cover did eventually clear out, but not fast enough to get us back into the 40s for most of you. We'll break down the numbers as we roll along in terms of how today fared. But first, at least we're looking quiet once again from indigo sky outside of Seneca, Missouri. In fact, all across the region, we're seeing mostly clear skies as we go deeper into our Sunday night. But temperatures, after the storm system passed through on Friday, they just struggled to get out of the 40s, especially at Joplin Regional. We were in the upper 30s yesterday afternoon, upper 20s this morning. And again, the cloud cover did clear out, but not fast enough. You can see how we only topped out in the upper 30s across much of the region, maybe a few spots out west near 40 degrees. We are going to see improvements on the thermometer starting tomorrow. In fact, all the way through Thursday with chilly temperatures lined up. We're looking at a good stretch of 50s for a good portion of this week. Now, as far as Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, it's going to be quite mild this time around. And if you don't believe me, the record high for Christmas Eve is going to be in the lower 70s, I think 73 or 72, back at 55. We're going to make a run for that by Friday and stay mild for Christmas Day. Then right as we wrap up the holiday, we've got another system with our next best shot for rain by Sunday. Well, again, we'll break down all those numbers as we go along, even though they're numbers that we should not see in late December. But at least at 9:12, we're looking quiet from 7th and Range Line. 29 degrees, a southeast breeze at 6 is making it feel like 23 degrees outside. Most of us are in the upper 20s to near 30 degrees, no matter where you are, all across the area. When you combine that with the light breeze at about, thankfully, 5 to 10 miles per hour, this doesn't seem like much to keep temperatures up, but this setup is only going to allow temperatures to drop back maybe a few more degrees. So most of us in the upper 20s as we get your Monday morning started. But thankfully, nothing happening here. We're quiet once again with a couple areas of high pressure sinking to our south and east. Here's a cold front. Doesn't have a lot of moisture with it. It's going to try to make a push into the region by the middle of the week, but it doesn't slide on through. So that just sets us up for a chilly stretch, but above normal temperatures. As far as the jet stream goes, maybe a quick upper level low passing to the south. All that's going to do is really bring us a little bit of cloud cover tonight and for parts of tomorrow. In fact, you can see that trying to build it on the future track as we go through the overnight. Again, though, mainly our southern counties, mostly clear to partly cloudy skies. But again, it's that cloud cover that really helps us out with temperatures once again. I think we'll only drop back and hold near 27 as we go through the overnight and to get your Monday morning commute started. Thankfully, mostly sunny skies for the rest of the day with a light southwest breeze. That'll still send us to 46 by noon. Everybody should top out right around 50 degrees, maybe a few spots in the lower 50s for tomorrow afternoon. This upper low moves along. You can see how we stay quiet Tuesday, Wednesday, and even as we go into Thursday. Although we're going to keep an eye on some upper level energy out west, all it's going to really do is send in cloud cover for Thursday and Friday. But look at the jet stream for Friday and Saturday, Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. Notice how it's to the north. That sets us up for a mild stretch before we see any rain chances try to cool us back down by Sunday. In fact, look at the numbers here. We go from 50 tomorrow, 52 Tuesday, 55 on Wednesday, near 60 on Thursday, pushing 70 for Christmas Eve on Friday, 63 for Christmas Day. And then Mother Nature will luckily time things out. Can't imagine a little bit of sarcasm with that note there. Rain chances by Sunday. So not a white Christmas this year, Chris, but we're mild, we're dry. It's good for any local travel.
That's true. I mean, it does make travel easier. And I know I've said this before, but man, these temperatures have, honest to goodness, been a roller coaster the last few weeks.
And if you think that's crazy, I've been looking at next week. We're going to do a complete pattern flip. It's going to turn quite a bit cooler, if not colder, by the time we wrap up the year.
Well, hopefully it'll start to feel like winter at some point. I mean, I don't like the cold, but it does need to be winter at some point.
Either way, this is just December in 4 states, like it or not.
That's true. Nick, thank you so much. Well, up next, the Omicron variant has now been detected in 45 states. Welcome back. Procter & Gamble is issuing a voluntary recall of more than 30 aerosol spray products, including dry shampoo and dry conditioner. Now, the recall is due to concerns over the levels of the chemical benzene, which is known to cause cancer. Products from the brands Pantene, Aussie, Herbal Essences, and Waterless are included in the recall. Food and Drug Administration says to date, Procter & Gamble has not received any reports of adverse events related to the recall. The company says it is pulling the products out of an abundance of caution. You can get specific information about the recall at fda.gov. Despite the rise in new COVID-19 cases, air travelers do not appear to be scaling back any of their holiday plans. TSA, in fact, reported screening more than 2 million passengers for the third straight Sunday. Those numbers are nearly double what they were at the same time last year, but they do fall short of pre-pandemic figures. Public health experts suggest that despite new COVID restrictions being enforced in many areas, families do not appear to be canceling holiday plans. On Sunday's morning shows, Dr. Anthony Fauci said fully vaccinated people should feel comfortable traveling, but he also advised against any holiday gatherings with people whose vaccination status is unknown. COVID-19 Omicron variant has now been detected in at least 45 U.S. states, Puerto Rico, and Washington, D.C. It's according to press releases from state officials in their respective states. With the Omicron variant quickly spreading, one health expert says, quote, there's a tsunami coming for unvaccinated Americans. Omicron is expected to surpass Delta to become the dominant variant in the U.S. in the coming weeks. Both cases and hospitalizations are at levels not seen since September at the end of the summer spike. In Michigan this week, for example, COVID hospitalizations are hovering around all-time highs. Of course, the Omicron variant, as we mentioned, of the coronavirus is quickly spreading also across Europe, and that's left political leaders scrambling to put restrictions in place to keep it from spiking even further. Fox News correspondent Jeff Paul has the latest from London.
You can already sense a change in the air here in London. Plans are being canceled or postponed. Masks are being worn more often, and Premier League soccer matches are getting called off as well. And as cases skyrocket, doctors here in the UK say this might only be the start.
So all of the meetings that we've attended insofar as the network is concerned, where modelling is taking place, the message is clear that this looks like it's the calm before the storm.
In the UK, infection numbers soared to new records. The Mayor of London made a major incident declaration to help hospitals with added resources to deal with the surge in cases. Prime Minister Boris Johnson is reportedly preparing to draft up new rules that would ban indoor mixing for 2 weeks after Christmas. The only exception would be for work, and pubs and restaurants would be limited to outdoor service. While the government sorts out what's next, there's a renewed push to get people vaccinated and boosted as more folks become sick.
I go to the gym 3 or 4 times a week, mountain bike, never off sick. It's just knocked me off my feet. Now, as you say, I don't think it's going to happen. I've been double jabbed as well. May and July I was jabbed. And I did say if I hadn't been vaccinated, I probably wouldn't be here.
Elsewhere in Europe, countries like France are imposing new travel restrictions. Paris has even canceled its New Year's Eve fireworks. Denmark has closed its theaters, concert halls, amusement parks, and museums. Ireland is now imposing an 8 p.m. curfew on pubs and bars. And just announced a short while ago, the Netherlands is going into a lockdown that will last until mid-January. The World Health Organization says the Omicron variant has now been detected in nearly 90 countries. In London, Jeff Paul, Fox News.
Coming up, SpaceX continues its mission for global internet. SpaceX continues a mission to help more global connection to the internet. A SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket lifting off from Vandenberg Space Force Base on Saturday, arcing its way over the Pacific before deploying 52 Starlink satellites into orbit. Starlink is a global internet system SpaceX has been building for years to help underserved parts of the globe access the internet. The constellation of low-orbit satellites is now about 2,000. Saturday's mission was the 34th for the Starlink project. A relatively new part of the economy in the most populous state in the nation is in trouble. Those involved in the marijuana business in California wrote a letter to the state's governor on Friday asking for tax reform for their industry. More than 24 executives, industry leaders, and advocates say the high tax rate on cannabis is making it hard to compete with the illegal marijuana trade. Advocates say 75% of cannabis consumed in the state comes from the illicit market, and the current tax system is, quote, rigged for all to fail. Governor Gavin Newsom says he is open to including cannabis tax reform in his next budget. The federal agency in charge of coronavirus company compliance says it's holding off punishing them until next year. The Occupational Safety and Health Administration says it won't fine companies before January 10th, which are not in compliance with vaccine mandates. OSHA says it wants to give companies exhibiting good faith more time to get in line with new regulations. A U.S. Court of Appeals ruled on Friday those mandates for large employers can move forward, reversing a previous court decision. West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin says he cannot vote to approve President Biden's $2 trillion Build Back Better legislation, a no that will likely sink the passing of the bill in the Senate. Fox News correspondent Alexandria Hoff has the story.
Lawmaker reaction ranges from relief on the right to the left, where some still think that Manchin could be swayed, and on the far left, his decision is being taken as pure betrayal.
We all knew that Senator Manchin couldn't be trusted. The excuses that he just made, I think, are a complete bull.
Progressives say they predicted that the massive spending bill would fall apart once it was decoupled from the bipartisan infrastructure bill. Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez tweeted, "Maybe they'll believe us next time." Congresswoman Cori Bush said this.
Having those coupled together was the only leverage we had. And what did the caucus do? We tossed it.
While the dispute among Democrats continues, Republicans are expressing gratitude for Manchin knocking down legislation that the CBO determined would cost upwards of $4.5 trillion. Republican Senator Lindsey Graham said this, quote, "I very much appreciate Senator Manchin's decision not to support Build Back Better, which stems from his understanding of the Congressional Budget Office's analysis of the bill."
The reality is the overwhelming majority of the Congress knows that this bill's crazy, even though there are 6 or 7 Dems that only say in private what Joe and Kirsten Sinema say regularly in public.
Democratic Senator Bernie Sanders wants to see a vote take place even without Manchin's support.
If that is the case, then I hope that we will bring a strong bill to the floor of the Senate as soon as we can and let Mr. Manchin explain to the people of West Virginia why he doesn't have the guts to stand up to powerful special interests.
Manchin said today if lawmakers want to vote on the bill to show where they stand, then they should hold one. In Washington, Alexandria Hoff, Fox News.
Next, we're wrapping up this half hour of News at 9 with some unique wrestling coming out of Russia. A new sport is getting increasingly popular in Russia. It's wrestling, but it's done inside a car. On Saturday, fans of wrestling were able to watch or take part in the car jitsu competition. It was inspired by the Brazilian martial art of jiu-jitsu. The match lasts for 2 rounds and allows each participant to fight in the passenger and driver's seat. Points are earned from opponent submission or if one person gets a superior position over the other. And I honestly think that that's just something that takes place when we're driving down the road on a busy day. But hey, whatever. Coming up, a gas explosion in Pakistan has authorities looking for answers. Plus, officials in Indonesia are worried about another possible volcanic eruption. Back to the news at 9. A gas explosion in Pakistan's largest city killed 12 and left officials looking for explanations. The explosion happened in a sewer system in Karachi. Local authorities said something ignited gas which had built up in a sewer below a bank building. Rescuers worked at a fever pitch to remove rubble looking for survivors and victims. The blast destroyed the HBL bank building with floors blown out and furniture falling into sewage below. Officials said they're not ruling out militants being involved, and explosives experts are on the scene investigating. Signs of another possible volcanic eruption in Indonesia are causing officials there to raise alert levels. Indonesian authorities raised the level to the 2nd highest for the Mount Semeru volcano on eastern Java Island. The volcano showed increasing activity Sunday with large plumes of smoke rising near the base of the mountain. Semeru recently erupted on December 4th, killing 48 and leaving 36 missing in villages buried in layers of volcanic mud. Indonesian President Joko Widodo pledged to help rebuild infrastructure there. Workers at a destroyed Kentucky candle factory ravaged from a tornado filed a class action suit against their employers. Surviving employees of the Mayfield Consumer Products candle factory filed their suit against the company, claiming they were required to work in the threat of an expected tornado and employees weren't alerted to it. 110 workers were inside at the time. The suit claims the company's flagrant indifference forced them to continue to work in these conditions despite employees' belief this would result in death or injuries. The candle factory was leveled by a tornado, resulting in the deaths of 8 people. An Ivy League school is dropping a key requirement for student admissions. Harvard University says it's no longer requiring SAT or ACT standardized testing for its application procedures. The move extends policies already started in 2020 because students face limited access to testing sites during the coronavirus pandemic. Harvard now says tests won't be required through 2026. School officials say students can now submit whatever materials best conveys their academic accomplishments from secondary schools. Vice President Kamala Harris is admitting the White House did not see the Omicron variant coming, as President Biden says the variant could take a terrible toll in the months ahead. Chief Executive is warning it could be a winter of severe illness and death for the unvaccinated. Fox News correspondent Mark Meredith takes a look.
Top health officials are once again urging unvaccinated Americans that now is the time to get the shot. We've already seen a number of businesses start to adapt their operations in the last couple of days because of the surge in number of cases, and health officials say that is understandable given the rise in cases nationwide.
We've only known about Omicron for a little less than a month, and clearly this is a very contagious virus, and you can see how it's doubling almost every 2 or 3 days in South Africa, UK, and now the U.S.
President Biden went even further in his warning on Thursday, saying unvaccinated Americans face a winter of severe illness and death. So far, the White House says the president is not changing his own travel plans for the holiday season, but that they are still relying on the advice of experts for their latest guidance. We're also watching as the White House says the government is deploying a surge of different health teams to many states where those hospitals may be overwhelmed. Those are on your screen: Colorado, Michigan, New Hampshire, New Mexico, New York, and Vermont. We're also watching what's going on in Ohio, where a federal appeals court ruled on Friday that the Biden administration's rules to require larger employers mandate vaccines can be reinstated. The White House is celebrating this ruling. We got a statement from them. They say, especially as the U.S. faces the highly transmissible Omicron variant, it's critical we move forward with vaccination requirements and protections for workers with the urgency needed in this moment. But opponents say the government is simply going too far and asking businesses to do too much when it comes to policing their own employees' health choices, and this is a fight that is not over yet, that is likely going to be heading to the Supreme Court. Traveling with the president in Wilmington, Delaware, Mark Meredith, Fox News.
Later on the KOAM News at 9, the economic situation in Afghanistan is heading for potential chaos.
Even though it was nice that the cloud cover cleared out, it definitely had an impact on temperatures once again, where we struggled to get out of the 30s across much of the region. We're going to do a lot better tomorrow with more sunshine on the way, but at least for the time being, we're seeing mostly clear skies now. Plenty of that, even though the sun has clearly set, over Indigo Sky Casino and Resort outside of Seneca, Missouri. In fact, temperatures have been rather cold for the past 36 hours or so. We spent much of yesterday mainly in the upper 30s. We dropped back into the upper 20s this morning. Dropping regional, the best we could do this afternoon was 38, 39 degrees. But again, with more sunshine pegged for tomorrow with a light south breeze, we are going to do better with temperatures as we go into tomorrow. 7th, the range line, though, 940, not looking bad. Clear skies up top, 29 with the southeast breeze of 6. It is making it feel like 23 outside, so there's a bit of a nip to the air. Something to keep in mind if you're going to be out and about late tonight into tomorrow morning. In fact, everybody's mainly in the upper 20s to near 30 degrees. But even though we have clear skies and we had a light breeze throughout the day out of the south at 5 to 10 miles per hour, that breeze is still light, but it is going to do the trick to keep us mainly in the upper 20s as we continue through the rest of the night, with the entire 4-state region seeing mostly clear skies. But we do notice a little bit of cloud cover picking up across central parts of Oklahoma along I-40. That's not due to any high pressures at the surface. That's what's keeping us quiet for the night. It's what's upstairs. This upper low being picked up by the jet doesn't have a lot of moisture as it comes by here, passing just to the south. But that is going to bring at least a little bit of cloud cover our way as we go deeper into the overnight. And you can see on the future track here, a little cloud cover for some as we get tomorrow morning underway. But that doesn't change the fact that it's going to be a bit cold to start the morning out, with overnight lows for most of you dropping back near 27 degrees. Even though that breeze stays light out of the south at 5 to 10, look at how fast temperatures will go tomorrow in terms of the upward trend. 46 by noon, pushing 50 around Joplin for tomorrow afternoon. In fact, most of us will be mainly right around 50 degrees with at least mostly sunny skies for a good portion of the area. So we're dry Monday. We're dry Tuesday, but look at how this jet builds back in on Wednesday and just to the north. That puts us chilly, but temperatures in the 50s for highs, numbers that we shouldn't see for late December. Now Thursday, we've got a wave out to the west. That's going to bring some much needed rain and snow for parts of the mountains and parts of the west in general, but it's going to keep us mostly cloudy for Thursday and partly sunny for Friday. But look at the jet. Even with the wave passing just to the north, this jet stays locked in just to the north. That is going to mean a dry not white, and mild Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. We'll go from 50 on Monday, 52 Tuesday, mid-50s Wednesday, near 60 on Thursday, pushing 70 for Friday, Christmas Day, a high of 63. And then we're going to finally see our next best shot for rain work in by Sunday, Chris.
Certainly it's December in the 4 states.
Yeah, Mother Nature being a bit of a Grinch, not a white Christmas, but we keep things dry, good for any local travel.
It's a good deal. Nick, thank you so much. Coming up in sports, we're going to hear from Christian Bundy after his career night against Lincoln. Danny Terzer's got that and more next.
We're here.
This is the Toyota Sunday Night Sports Feed. The Missouri Southern women head into the Christmas break with a lot of confidence, and rightfully so. The Lions are coming off a huge win against Lincoln on Saturday. Southern hit triple digits in the game, the most scored under head coach Ronnie Russell. The final was 103-58 and was another example of this team's depth. 6 different players scored in double digits, led by Amaya Johns with 16 and a double-double from Maddie Stokes.
I think it was rebounding and, the one more passes. I think we really were all crashing. I think all of us had 8, 7, 5. Maddie had 10 rebounds. And then also doing the one more passes, not, being selfish or anything and having the one more pass. I think that's what helped us in playing together. I think coming back, we just have to keep working, not get comfortable if they're over break, come back in good shape and everything. So it definitely was a confidence booster and we're just ready to keep going.
The Southern men bounced back from their first conference loss with a solid win over Lincoln. The Lions pulled away in the second half to get the win 81-66. Christian Bundy and Stan Scott led the way, combining for over half the team's points. Stan Scott dropped 22 while Bundy had a career-high 29 points and added 7 rebounds.
My teammates just believe in me, coaches believe in me. Any of us can go off on any given night, so it just so happened to be me tonight.
Tried to make it a point today to get him the basketball, and thought he was patient. He made a couple good passes out of it, and then was able to draw 13 fouls and be able to get to the free throw line and step up and make those was huge for us, and especially down the stretch of kind of breaking it open.
Pittsburgh State hosted Central Missouri for a doubleheader on Saturday. The women saw their 3-game win streak come to an end. The Gorillas fell 70-61 this weekend. They hung around for most of the game, but in the end, Central Missouri was able to close it out. Pitt State shot well from the 3-point line. Grace Pyle went 4 for 6 with 14 points. Tristan Gegg sunk 5 threes and led the Gorillas with 21.
I was really proud of Tristan for, she made some really big threes, and that's her trademark, and I don't ever really hesitate. There's times we'll tell her to drive it just because we want to put pressure on the defense, but and she's such a great driver too, and it keeps that defender guessing. They don't want to get too close, they don't want to get too far away. There's a really fine line when you're guarding Tristan Gegg, and so outstanding effort on the offensive side of the ball and defensive side.
The men came up just short against the Mules. Cameron Hufner put the Gorillas within 1 with minutes left, but it wasn't enough. Pitt State struggled from the free throw line, making just 50% of their shots. Head coach Kim Anderson says that made a big difference.
We outscored them from the field. We shot better from the 3. But even though, they shot 27 free throws, we shot 12, but we only made 6. We've had this problem the last few weeks. We're shooting in just above 50% in conference games. Well, that's, you can't do that and win. You got to be able to make free throws. So we just got to have guys that are tough enough to step up mentally.
The 7-ranked Kansas Jayhawks hit the floor on Saturday after a full week of rest. At home at Allen Fieldhouse hosting SFA, Ochai Agbaji on fire from long range to kick things off. He leads the Jayhawks with 18 points on the night. KU trailing now Christian Brown to Remy Martin for 3. They managed to spread it to a 7-point lead at half. Lumberjacks, though, knocked down the 3. This one is huge, makes it a 1-possession game. Under 1 minute left to play, fighting the shot clock, Martin pulls up, drains the 3 from the logo. Jayhawks survive 80-72. That's a look at sports. We're back with more news after this.
The economic collapse of Afghanistan, a country already teetering dangerously on the edge, would have a horrendous impact on the region and the world. That dire assessment came on Sunday from speakers at a summit in Pakistan attended by leaders of dozens of Islamic countries. Fox News correspondent Jeff Paul has more.
Pakistan, who pushed for the meeting, says the gathering is about the Afghan people, but its prime minister also didn't press the Taliban over the lack of women's rights in Afghanistan, saying the world needs to understand, quote, cultural sensitivities.
Unless action is taken immediately, Afghanistan is heading for chaos. Any government, when it can't pay its salaries of its public servants, hospital, doctors, nurses, any government is going to collapse. But chaos suits no one. It certainly does not suit the United States.
Pakistan's prime minister went on to say human rights and women's rights mean different things in different countries. His focus seems squarely on getting major world powers like the United States to ease sanctions. Part of it would mean the release of billions of dollars worldwide in funds that were frozen after the Taliban takeover in August. And since then, the country has sunk into not only an economic crisis, but a humanitarian one as well. While the currency in the country continues to plummet, poverty levels are rising, impacting an estimated 97% of the population. Most families spend nearly all of the little money they have on food and are still going hungry. The Taliban's deputy foreign minister says if something doesn't change, we could see a surge of economic refugees.
If the political and economic situation doesn't change in Afghanistan, there will be even more migrations, which will be a big heading and problem to our neighbors, the countries in the region, and even to Europe. So, if they want to solve this problem, it is important to work on the basic infrastructures in Afghanistan so that migrants are persuaded to return back to Afghanistan.
Even if aid starts pouring in, recovery will be slow. Just a day after the Taliban announced it is resuming issuing travel documents, hundreds waited in line in the freezing cold, some overnight, just to get a passport to leave. In London, Jeff Paul, Fox News.
Up next, we're taking you to a special light show in Lithuania. A light show in Lithuania lit up the Saturday night sky. The display featured giant characters from Lewis Carroll's Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. Lit up teacups, red roses, and forest trees made it feel like you too fell down the rabbit hole and into Wonderland. A brightly lit Alice, White Rabbit, and Cheshire Cat were also featured as you walked through the light sculptures. And boy, there's no snow on the ground there, but it certainly looks awfully chilly. And earlier this evening, I took our great camera operator, Cameron, outside, and it was quite cold. Cameron, what was your assessment of the temperature outside? Very cold. Very cold, he says. And I agree, it's quite chilly out. Unfortunately, though, as Nick has told us, it's going to warm back up just in time for Christmas. That's how it goes in the 4 states, right? Well, that is our time for now. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to do it again next weekend, and thanks for making us part of your night.